God, Bruce Campbell ages like fine wine, though. Have you seen him?
Oh, yeah.
Night of the Horrorfile.
You're all invited. They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Hey, welcome to Night of the Horror File. I'm Lee.
I'm Brittany.
Hey.
Hi.
So this week we watched The Evil Dead.
Wow.
Join us. All right, anyway. Yeah, we busted Brittany's Evil Dead cherry. That's gross.
I'm so happy to be watching a zombie movie.
They're not zombies.
Okay, but...
The Kandarian demons.
Okay, but... kind of like zombies.
Right. Okay, so first impressions going into this. What did you think you were getting yourself into?
I had no idea.
Really?
I didn't know there were zombies or demons.
I mean, either way, like, even if you haven't seen this movie, you've heard of The Evil Dead by now.
Yeah, but I didn't know anything about it.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, nothing?
Nothing.
Not at all. Damn.
Just that it was really good. Nobody would tell me what it was about.
No. And it's an amazing movie, in my opinion. This is actually one of my favorite horror movies ever. Like, I get that question all the time, you know, hey, if there was one horror movie you could watch for the rest of your life, what would it be? And I'm like, I have such a hard time answering that fucking question. So, but if I had to choose one, I guess, if I absolutely had to choose one, it'd be The Evil Dead. It has such a special place in my heart.
Yeah, I'd say that. If someone asked me what your favorite movie is, this is what I tell them.
Huh?
If someone asked me what your favorite movie was, this is what I tell them.
This is your favorite movie?
No, that this is your favorite movie.
Oh, okay. Whoa. Oh.
I was like, why would I tell them that?
Oh, I got real special. I'm sorry there for. So anyway,
Wow.
the more amazing thing about this movie is the story behind how it was made. It was like in the late 70s, and three friends wanted to make a movie. That was Sam Raimi, Rob Tappert, and of course, Bruce motherfucking Campbell, who is a genre god. Even if you don't know anything about The Evil Dead or anything else, you've heard about Bruce Campbell. It's just with the internet and stuff, you've had to have heard of Bruce Campbell.
Right.
Did you hear anything about him before we started this?
No, except for you watching Ash vs. Evil Dead.
Right. And this is kind of Ash Begins, because
Obviously
he's not the character that the later sequels in the TV show bring him out as. But yeah, so three friends just got together to make a fucking movie, and
Hell to the yeah.
the story behind it's so great because it was so hard to get made. I mean, this is just a testament to how hard work can really pay off in the end, because they started out, they made Within the Woods, which was just a little student film they made to just get funding for their big project, which is the movie we watched. And they made that, and that helped them slap it around to people who would fund them and stuff like that. And they were getting money from friends, family, everybody, and the money started running out. They raised about $150,000, got out to the cabin, which was in the middle of Tennessee. They got out there, and it was grueling. The special effects budgets were basically just fucking zero, so they had to make it up as they go. That's why the movie, I think, has a more of a do-it-yourself kind of feel to it.
Some of the things.
Right. Which I still think they're effective. I mean, that's just me, but maybe it's because I love this movie so much. But it has that same kind of feeling that the Texas Chainsaw Massacre has. It's that low-budget, gritty feel.
I didn't hate it.
That's good.
But what's that word that you always call me? Because I catch things like that?
Yeah, you're good at catching continuity errors.
Okay, that's what I meant. Yeah. Like,
Oh, I mean, they're all over this movie.
right. And that side of me was like, ooh, I see
Right.
that. I see that. I see that. And then I'm like, I have to remember it's a low budget horror movie. It's okay.
Oh, yeah. And like I said, this
And
is
I
super
think-
low budget.
Right. But I think if those things weren't there, it wouldn't have been as good.
Right. And as we talk about this tonight, I mean, we'll go over, the special effects and just the little problems they had making it. But, so let's get started.
Okay. So it starts off, and you're like seeing from the point of view of something.
Yeah, it's like the evil, I suppose.
That's
is
what I
you
was
could call it.
thinking.
Yeah, it's whatever
Yeah.
kind of forces in the woods.
Yeah. And it's like zooming through on the water and through the woods, and there's lots of fog.
Yeah, it's a good old-fashioned spooky swamp. And so
Yeah, it's pretty creepy.
the way they filmed this scene was basically Bruce Campbell was pushing Sam Raimi on a raft while Sam Raimi had the camera.
No wonder I was feeling motion sickness.
Yeah, there's a lot of because I mean obviously these guys couldn't afford like camera rigs and dollies and stuff like that you normally would have on a production. They couldn't afford that kind of shit, so they had to make up their own camera techniques.
It's pretty cool, though.
Which, I mean, Sam Raimi, if you watch his newer movies, he uses, I mean, obviously he probably has updated equipment, but he uses those same kind of techniques in his newer movies, which, like I said, you've seen the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man.
Yes.
So you can think of the shots that he uses in this movie and look at that Spider-Man movie and you can see those same kind of shots, which
Oh,
is
yeah.
kind of neat to do.
That
Because
makes sense.
this is Sam Raimi developing and like blooming into like the director we know him to be today, which is kind of neat to look back on.
Yeah, it's pretty great. I mean, it made me a little motion sick, but I mean, it was still, like you said, advanced for
Right.
the time. So these people are in the car, and
Right.
one of the ladies who is
Well, you have Shelley, Linda, Cheryl, Scott, and Ash, or Ashley.
right, and in the front seat, Ashley's driving.
No.
I'm sorry, Scott's driving, and then
So Scott's driving, and Shelley's in the front with Scott, who is
Shelley, that's her name.
yeah, Shelley is Scott's girlfriend, and in the back seat we have Ashley with his girlfriend Linda and his sister Cheryl.
And in the front, Shelley's singing, and not very well,
Nope.
which is okay. Road trip fun, right?
Oh yeah.
So, and then Scott starts singing too. But they're like driving on this windy road, and they go around this corner, and they like screech when they go around it. I'm
Yeah,
like,
for some reason they like ADR like a fucking like, or the sound effects like has a squeal as they turn the corner.
I know. I was like, how fast were
good
they
God, slow
going on
down.
this road? Yeah. And as you see them driving, then you see this other trucker that's coming down this road the opposite way. The creepy music starts, and you're like, oh my gosh, they're going to crash. Because
Yeah.
that's what it makes you think, is that they're going to crash. And they're trying to read their map and stuff. And then all of a sudden, you think they're going to crash. They don't. And Scott swerves. But it cuts to the car, and it shows Scott driving, and he's like screaming. And on one side is Ash, and on the other side is Linda. And they're like, ah, like with their heads right next to Scott's head. And then it cuts to Shelley in the front seat, and she like has her hands on the windshield and her face to the side, and she's screaming like she's about to go through the windshield. But there was no crash.
Right. So
It was so dramatic.
So in the scene, like basically what had happened was the steering wheel pulls out of Scott's hand, which I guess we're supposed to be a little prelude to the evil that's to come, and almost causes them to wreck into a fucking truck.
Oh, that's right. And Scott says, man, your steering wheel's messed up, says it to Ash. And Ash is like, I just had it in the shop yesterday.
So this car, oh god, this car is legendary within the Evil Dead series. It's nicknamed the Classic, and it appears in, I swear, it appears in every Sam Raimi movie too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, well, think about, because I'm the only movie I know that you've seen is the first Spider-Man movie. It's Uncle Ben's car,
Oh, okay.
and then it comes up in Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness and even the TV show, and then it appears in a couple other Sam Raimi movies like Darkman and stuff like that. And it just pops up. It's a nice little ongoing thing.
So he says the only thing that the car's good for, or the steering wheel's good for, is honking. And he honks, and these two people like wave.
Yeah, these two fishermen, and Scott's like, God damn it, I'm not yelling, honking at you. Go to hell.
I was like,
And
really?
and one of those guys, I think Rob Tappert is one of them, and the other guy is Sam Raimi. So
Oh, really?
yeah,
That's cool. And I was like, is it really necessary to yell at them when you honked at them?
right. So they're talking about driving up to this cabin that I guess Scott has rented, or he
Assume.
bought.
I'm assuming you rented it.
Okay. I was always a little unclear of that. It's never like, I mean, obviously they're like college students, but it's never like clearly like spelled out for you.
Oh my god. They looked older than college students. They looked like moms and dads.
Oh man, I don't know though, because like, I mean, Bruce Campbell is like 21, 23 during this.
Yeah.
So, which he's like baby Campbell in this movie. It's
Well,
great.
yeah, but I don't know. They all looked a little bit older. I'd say probably. I say moms and dads. I was a mom at 19, so I guess that would be kind of old.
I mean, God, Bruce Campbell ages like fine wine, though. Have you seen him?
Oh yeah.
So, so they're talking about this cabin and stuff, and he says, you know, Scott's like telling him it's a little run down and stuff like that.
But it's cheap.
I know. And then they get to the bridge.
The sign says Danger Bridge.
Danger Bridge.
Yes.
So it's obviously a rickety ass old bridge, and they're trying to cross it with their car, which for some reason, okay, they kind of like break through a little bit, and Ash kind of like leans out to look, fucking sees the river, and
Ugh, creepy.
yeah, so they make it across this rickety ass bridge, and there's the cabin, and I realize this is your first like little intro to the Evil Dead series, so you're not exactly like, oh, it's the cabin. It's like that for super fans of these, and there are some hardcore fucking Evil Dead fans that will sit there and argue with you and yell, and it's amazing, and I love them. But yeah, so this is our introduction to the cabin, which really did exist. It really was just an old cabin in Tennessee.
If they rented it, they're not getting any money back.
Oh, no. But, I mean, shit. They had, like, for that little low-budget student film they made, Within the Woods was what it was called, they only had a budget of $1,600. So they were sort of used to working with a lower budget, but they really, really had a hard time with this, and we'll get into it. But,
Okay.
First, we're introduced to the cabin.
And as they're driving up, you just hear this knocking, and it just keeps getting louder and louder. And Scott gets out of the car, and you see the swing hitting the house or the cabin. Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
And
Just-
he was already creeped out.
Yeah. And for a low budget movie, like the sound effects and like the Foley work in this thing is just, it's really good.
Oh, it was really good.
It's like I said, you can definitely see where the guy making this, like if you didn't know who Sam Raimi was, because nobody did. I mean, these guys just showed up out of nowhere with no experience. They didn't know anybody. They just popped in on everybody's radar. And here they are making a movie, and Sam Raimi has nothing to show for except for his little student Super 8 projects. So to see this movie for the first time, it would be neat because you would know it's like, oh, this director is going to go somewhere.
Right. Scott's a little freaked out,
Right.
but he still walks up to the door, and the keys are above the door.
Yeah, because I mean it's just a rundown cabin out in the middle of nowhere.
Oh, I
Nobody's
guess,
gonna come rob the middle of nowhere cabin.
That's true. He's like, it's one of these keys. Okay. So he unlocks the door, walks through. He walks to a creepy shed.
Oh yeah. There's a shed out to the side of the cabin, and he walks in there, and he's just kind of looking around at the tools and stuff like that. And this is kind of foreshadowing for a scene later in the movie.
But why were there tools hanging from the ceiling?
I don't know, just an old shed.
Did people do that?
I suppose.
Or is that just supposed to look creepy?
Well, I mean, I guess it kind of makes it a little creepy too. But
That's true.
were you on a pegboard? This
I
is like a
just-
hillbilly cabin.
No, I was just confused. I've never seen anybody hang things from the ceiling before.
Oh.
Like tools. So I was a little confused. So it cuts to nighttime, and Cheryl is drawing in front of the clock, and she's actually drawing the clock.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, the clock stops and it chimes, and the wind starts blowing because she's got the window open.
Yeah.
And something kind of takes over her hand and makes her start like drawing on the paper. I'm still unclear as to what she was drawing.
It drew the book.
The book. Okay.
Yes, the book that we meet later in the movie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
It like whatever forces out there and stuff like that took over her hand and had her draw the book. And if you notice, I just like the little, even though this is his first movie and it was low budget, Sam Raimi still has those little attention to details, because if you notice, her hand is all miscolored and like the veins are showing and stuff like that.
Yeah, I
It's
did
really
see
neat.
that. Yeah.
So she draws the Book of the Dead, which is the Necronomicon, which they come to call it in the sequels. And she draws that on the paper.
And at this part, I'm like, nope, I'm out. I'm done. Leaving.
Shit's getting
Never
creepy.
coming back. Because if something grabs my hand, makes me do something that I don't want to do, I'm leaving. Bye. Because that shit don't happen at home.
Yeah. And she hears like some voices while this is going on, and then the trap door starts shaking. That leads to the cellar.
Which is creepy as hell.
Yeah, and this movie, I swear, man, it's still, even though it's low budget and you can find it kind of silly and stuff like that, sure. But if you watch this movie alone at night, like, oh my God, it's still effective.
Oh, yeah,
It
very
still
creepy.
has some of that magic in it to where it still fucking scares the shit out of you.
Oh, yeah.
Which, it's hard to imagine that this movie almost quite didn't get the push it needed to get to the famous little pedestal it's on now.
Oh, no.
But what really helped it was Stephen King. Really, he had seen it and really enjoyed it, and he wrote up a good review of it. And that review like changed everything for them. Like people started taking notice and stuff like that. And so The Evil Dead burst forth and got the fame it really needed. We could be talking about The Evil Dead right now, and it could just be a one-off little horror movie that's obscure.
Right, that no one knew anything about.
Right, but because like of one review, like this movie has spawned a giant cult phenomenon. Like so
That's amazing.
yeah, it's cool to think of. And like I said, that's why I think this movie's so special to me, is because it's if you set out to make a movie, this is your dream. This is what you want. You want
yeah.
to be The Evil Dead. Like the low budget success story.
Definitely. Oh, yeah. So, you talking about it being scary. I got scared. Because it cuts from the door to the cellar on the floor, like shaking.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, a blender is blending.
Boom, cocktails.
I know. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, so they're like, I get they're just sitting around the table having dinner and stuff, making drinks and stuff like that. And this is when Ash decides to make a toast.
And I was so confused the whole time.
Okay, So this is really funny because I never put this together. But in the sequels, there's a point, especially in Army of Darkness, there's a point where he has to recite something in Latin.
Oh.
And he has a really hard time doing it. He says the wrong fucking words. And that fucks everything up because Ash is kind of a screw up, but he's a lovable goofball screw up and he's kind of badass and beats the shit out of things. But
right.
But yeah, it was just kind of funny because in this scene, he goes to make a toast and he goes to say something in Latin and he stumbles with it. And it's like, holy shit, the idea was there in the beginning.
And maybe they knew that.
Maybe.
Or
I don't know.
They left that in there like, we're using that next time.
Maybe. I don't think Sam Raimi had an idea for a sequel yet because we didn't get The Evil Dead 2 until 1987.
Oh, that's a long time.
Yeah, so it was like 6 years later when they got it.
So, Ash stumbles through this, and then Scott says, "Party down."
Yeah. And then, as they're like drinking, then the trap door flies the fuck open.
And
with
I
a big
wrote,
ass bang.
"Nope," in all caps.
Nope, we're leaving now. Come on,
I'm out.
everybody. Let's
Bye.
go. Let's go. Let's go. Oh, God, my note pages were stuck together. No, I was not jerking off to this movie.
That's not what you told me.
Oh, yeah, we'll get to that. Oh, God, I'm shameful.
So they're like looking and they're like, "Oh, it was probably an animal."
Yeah, like some animal. And I gotta go with Scott here, even though I don't like
Right.
Scott as a character. I gotta go with him because he's like, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Right?
Like, yeah.
Yeah,
I
it was not
agree.
an animal.
What, a raccoon throw the trap door, the door to the cellar open and then like go down there? What the fuck?
Hell to the yeah.
So Scotty, it kind of like, and here's another one of those unique camera angles because obviously like they're in the cellar, whoever has the camera, and it's pointing to all the group gathered around. And it's just neat because there's a lot of like one takes in this movie that are pretty impressive. But yeah, this is just kind of one of the camera angles I really like. So then Scott gets the wise idea. He's going to go investigate the cellar and heads down.
And he's missing for a little bit.
Yeah, because I think Ash at this point starts calling his name and stuff like that.
And he's not answering.
Nope.
Creepy. So he goes down to the cellar with the lantern.
Yeah, Ash.
He's looking around and all he sees is like dripping pipes and
Yeah.
hearing weird noises.
Lots of gourds in this cellar. But
Oh, yeah.
see, okay, you had a problem with the hanging tools. I kind of... Do people hang gourds?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, that's
to
a
dry.
thing?
Yes.
Oh, they dry them out that way.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, is that how you get those like maraca gourds?
Yeah. Or like decoration gourds that you can paint and stuff.
Oh, all right. Yeah, that makes sense. But
Yeah. Explain the tools.
now, I don't know, hanging tools. You want some tools hanging around, so that way, when you're using one tool and then you turn to use the next tool, it's right in front of your face. I think it's a very wise decision. And
I feel
I'm
like
going to hang
that's
tools.
Dangerous.
I'm going to hang tools out in the garage.
No.
So,
Not like I'm tall enough to hit the tools, but you're going to. I always think you're going to hit your head on the kitchen cabinets when you leave them open,
yeah, that's
let alone
true, yeah.
tools hanging from the ceiling.
So at this point, it's another camera thing where it kind of spins around the room, and you get a good idea how big the cellar is and stuff like that. And then, we talked on the last episode, The Conjuring, about that dread feeling, and I feel like Sam Raimi was doing it here.
Oh,
Like,
definitely.
he was developing that sense of dread, like that stomach kind of thing, because there's music in this movie, but it's subtle because, I mean, they were probably working against a budget. So that's probably explains it, but I think it works. Like if this movie had like Suspiria, let's take that for example, because it's like, if this movie had a score like that, I don't think it would be as good because this movie has a lot of silence. And I think that's what's scary.
Oh, that's
Just-
really scary.
Yeah. So in the cellar, Ash is looking around for Scott, and it's silent. I mean, there's dripping pipes, and you got your ambience,
Right.
but
But there's no music.
So then he reaches out to open the door to another part of the cellar. And there's more camera techniques and stuff like this because you see his hand, which I'm trying to remember if it was this scene or there's another scene, but that's not Bruce Campbell's hands.
Whose hands are they?
Either Sam Raimi or Rob Tappard's. I can't remember. But
That's weird.
Sam Raimi had this thing where he is a big fan of the Three Stooges. So he had this thing where he would use doubles for everybody. Like if an actor couldn't be in the background or a stunt or something was a little too whatever, like that. He had something called a fake shimp, which if you look at the credits of this movie, fake shimps are listed on there, which Ted Raimi was one of those. Ted Raimi is Sam Raimi's brother. But yeah, so there's a lot of, like this is somebody else's hand and stuff in this movie that I catch, but So he opens the door.
Scott jumps out and scares him.
Yeah.
It scared me. I knew it was going to happen.
Yeah, because the
But it
silence and stuff.
Still scared me.
It's good. It still has the little magic in it that kind of freaks you the fuck out.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, they're in this other part of the cellar, and I like this. Like on the background of the wall, you see a Hills Have Eyes poster.
Yeah. That was funny. I didn't know that movie had come out around that time.
Oh yeah, I think The Hills Have Eyes came out early 70s or mid 70s.
Oh, okay. Scott's showing Ash a gun and just points it in his face.
Yeah. He's like, I don't do that.
Right? I'm like, what the fuck is this? So, Ash finds the book. What did you call the book?
This is the Book of the Dead.
Book of the Dead.
Later in the sequels. In this movie, it's called The Book of the Dead because that's originally what this movie was titled. And Irvin Shapiro is the one that came up with the name Evil Dead because he wanted something catchier than Book of the Dead. He wanted something with more of a, a catch, like something
Right.
catchy. The
Right.
Book of the Dead sounds boring. But, yeah, so anyway, this is the Book of the Dead or the Necronomicon. Wow, I am going off on tangents in this episode.
So,
I'm sorry.
so Ash is looking through this book and it's got all kinds of pictures in it
Right.
of skulls and weird shit. And my favorite thing in this whole movie is this damn dagger that has a handle and it's a skeleton.
Yeah.
I want this.
It's the Kandarian dagger.
I want it.
It's in Evil Dead 2. It comes back. And
That's
actually,
awesome.
they make it look a lot cooler because it's like a spine and shit in the next one.
That's so
But-
awesome.
Yeah. There's somebody on Etsy. I'll have to look it up again, but there's somebody on Etsy who makes this.
Oh, yeah.
Makes the daggers and stuff. So it's pretty cool.
I
But
know what I want for my birthday. So it cuts to outside of the cabin just real quick, and it's showing that there's a storm coming, like
Mhm.
lightning and the moon. Oh my god.
So we watched this on. I bought the 4K version, and they cleaned it up a little bit because originally I saw this on VHS back in the Blockbuster days, but like before you could see where they had taken a clipping of a moon and put it into the film because like I had explained to you how they had to, like before we had like computers and stuff to do special effects and stuff on, you would have to literally take the film and like put a clipping of something in there. And I forget what that technique is called, but yeah, so originally like you could see a square with a moon in it, but they cleaned it up on this one and it made it look a little nicer.
That's awesome. But the moon was still too big.
The
moon
moon's
was
always
never that
too
big.
big in these movies.
Right.
You know what's really funny is wow, why am I going off on this? But I'm going to say it anyway. The Wolfman, the original Wolfman movie, never showed the moon.
That's weird.
Yeah, isn't that weird?
Because it's got a
Yeah, never showed the moon. Showed him looking up, but it never showed the moon.
Interesting.
Anyway, back to the Evil Dead.
So they are in the house and they're sitting. I keep calling it the house, the cabin, whatever the fuck it is.
It's the cabin.
The cabin. So they're sitting around a fire listening to. Oh, they start the recorder that they found down in the cellar.
Yeah, because they found amongst the book and the badass dagger and the shotgun, they also find this tape recorder, this big reel-to-reel tape recorder. And so they bring it upstairs and they start listening to it as a group.
Which the girls aren't very happy about.
No.
Well, Cheryl's not.
Oh, so he on the tape recorder, he's talking about the Kandarian demons and how he had found it. It's like a professor. In the second movie, you learn who it is. But he found the book. And so he brought the book back to this cabin. And he's decided to try to translate it. That's the whole point of him being out there with the book.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and the dagger. So that's how all the shit came to be. Like how that book got there and how the dagger got there is because a professor it's kind of left open, but the professor brought it there.
Okay, that makes sense.
And so what he's done with this tape recorder is he's made a translation and he's recording himself translating it, which it's a bad idea to read from the book.
Oh, yeah, don't do that.
And we find that out because they're listening to the translations of him reading from the book. So what that ends up doing is awakening the evil. And then we get a shot of like the leaves outside changing and stuff like that. It's really creepy.
Because he says that they need human flesh and blood and that they're never truly dead. So Cheryl starts yelling. She's mad that they're listening to it. And she's like, shut it off, shut it off.
Yeah, she can't take it anymore.
And then all of a sudden a tree busts through a window.
No, right? And I guess like the evil's just bugging Cheryl out because like it seems to be like attracted to her at first and for good reason, I guess, because of later.
Right.
So, yeah, so the tree busts through the damn window.
Which was creepy. And she like runs off and Scott and Ash are kind of talking and he's like, she's nuts.
She's like a goddamn child, which I didn't understand that.
Yeah, he was like, she's 3 years old.
Yeah, Scotty's the dick, basically.
Oh, yeah. So Ash and Linda, correct?
Do it.
Ash and Linda? Linda's Ash's girlfriend, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's where I was confused. Ash and Linda say they're going to stay up for a bit. But Linda's like, I'm going to check on Cheryl. And that's when Ash pulls out a box. And he's sitting on the couch and he pretends to be asleep. And Linda comes up and sees him holding the box. And she's like, gonna take the box from him. But she's like staring at him and he's kind of opening his eyes.
Yeah. They're doing this weird back and forth eye thing.
It was really weird. But anyway, he opens his eyes and she was like, I knew it, that he was awake or whatever.
Right.
I mean, she was only gone like 4 seconds, but whatever. And she opens the box and there's a necklace with a magnifying glass that Ash had for her.
Yeah.
It was actually pretty cute.
Yeah, it's like this necklace is a thing. Like it comes up again in the second one. But yeah, so he gives her this necklace.
So as she goes over to the mirror to like look at it and stuff. And then it pans to the outside of the cabin and you're like looking in as the evil. And it like pans to the different rooms showing like Ash and Linda in one room and then Scott and Sherry in the other one. And they're getting naked, getting ready for bed. They're probably going to do it. Whatever. I saw boobs. I'm imagining they're doing it.
You can imagine it because the sex we get in this movie is not the sex you want. But Yeah, so again, we're seeing it from the point of view of the evil, the force, whatever you want to call it,
Right.
out in the woods. And it's kind of surveying them and stuff like that. And again, it's like attracted to Cheryl. So,
Yeah, because it pans to Cheryl, and she kind of hears something, and she looks out the window, and she's creeped out.
yeah, so she decides to investigate, which...
Why? Why?
If you hear some weird-ass noises out in the middle of the woods when we're in a cabin, are you going to go investigate?
Hell to the no.
Okay, thank you. That's why I married you,
Especially
because you're
after-
smarter.
Right? Especially after my hand gets possessed.
And I draw this fucking evil-looking book that turns up later.
Right? Yeah. Fuck no, I'm out.
So she steps out to investigate, and that's when she hears the evil. She kind of hears noises out in the woods,
Yeah.
and so she goes a little deeper to investigate. Which, again, no, don't do this.
And she says the classic line, "Is anybody out there?"
Just a horny tree.
So stupid. So she's walking through the forest in her robe, and she's like, "I know someone is out there. I heard you."
Yeah.
And this is when the trees start to fall.
Yeah, the trees start cracking around her and stuff like that. And then vines come out of nowhere.
And they start to attack her.
Yeah.
And they tie her up, knock her to her back. I was about to say to her knees.
Yeah, and they're like, it's like tearing up her clothes and stuff like that, which from, so the way they got this effect was those things were pre-ripped.
Oh, that makes
Yeah.
sense.
So it rips her fucking clothes off, basically. Well, not all of them. She's not completely nude. But I think, what is it, a bath towel she's wearing?
No, it's a robe.
Yeah, a robe.
But it's like, you're right. It's like a bath towel material.
Yeah. So then it pins her to the ground.
And then it starts to wind up her legs slowly. And then it takes her legs and spreads them apart. And then has its way with her. That's a nice way to put
Yeah,
it.
and off the top of my head, I can't remember the reason over the tree rape scene. I know later on in an interview with Sam Raimi, he said something about he does kind of regret the tree rape scene. As
Yeah,
maybe he should.
It was a little
included that.
unneeded.
I think he just felt like at the time maybe it was needed to explain why Cheryl gets possessed. But it's like, couldn't she just get cut like everybody else? You know,
Right.
nobody else had a giant tree branch slam into their hoo-ha. But you know, I'm not the director, so.
It happened.
And of course, as a younger metal kid, I'm like thinking, "You just badass."
How many times did you touch yourself to it?
Too many enough to where I think back and I'm like, you probably
needed some
probably need
therapy.
to see. Yeah, I probably need to see somebody. And this movie in a whole, I fucking watched way too much.
Yeah, I would say probably, especially if you masturbated to raping a woman. We're not going to
I never claimed I was normal.
We're going to
Okay.
pretend like that never happened.
Again, everybody, I've never claimed I was normal. I'm pretty sure by now our listeners know this. What is
That's
this?
true.
What is this? Episode 9?
Yep. So I was a little confused. Does the tree like get off and then all of a sudden it's breakable now?
I guess, well, you know how, I mean, I have a cool down period. I gotta wait a minute,
Oh.
I'm a little malleable, so I lay off to the side and then you break free and then run away screaming.
Every time.
That's how our lovemaking goes.
Oh my God. So she breaks free from the tree
Uh-huh.
and she's running back to the cabin and she falls like every 6 steps. I'm like, bitch, take your house shoes off and just run.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And maybe you wouldn't fall.
Yeah, she does the classic, fucking stumble and fall and stuff like that.
So after she's done falling down 5 million times, she gets to the cabin and she's screaming and can't get the door open because it's locked, but nobody is fucking opening the door for her.
Oh, yeah, I know,
She had to
right?
have been standing there for a good, 45 seconds to a minute
Right.
screaming.
And we've been inside this fucking cabin, so we know it's not.
They were right there.
It's not like
Um,
they're upstairs somewhere.
Right. Linda and Ash were right there.
Yeah, nobody fucking comes to the door until like it's almost fucking too late, because like as she's fumbling for the keys and she drops them, and the evil is like right behind her, like then Ash grabs her wrist and
It's-
pulls her inside.
I was kind of mad about that.
What?
I was kind of mad that they didn't open the door for her.
Like, God damn you bastards.
Right? So she's upset. And everybody's like, what the hell's going on? And she was like, the Woods did this.
Yeah.
And they were like, no. No, they didn't. She's like, yes, the Woods themselves did this. The trees did this. And she wants to leave. Ugh, so smart. Should have left
You should have
2
left as soon
fucking
as
hours
things,
ago.
Yeah, as soon as you started hearing voices out in the woods.
or when something possesses your hand. Yeah, I'm out. I'm done.
And, I mean, man, credit to these people, because all these actors did not get paid worth of fucking shit. Because, okay, so the actors made about $100 a week. The production assistants made about $50 a week. And Rob Tapper, Sam Raimi, and Bruce Campbell set aside $35 a week for themselves as executive producers, you see. And they never collected that money. I know in Bruce Campbell's book, I think it was If Chins Could Kill, I believe it's over on my shelf. I'm looking at it right now. He says that like he remembers going to buy a pack of gum and he just didn't have the money. Like they were so poor during the making of this.
That's really sad that they didn't have any money for gum. Because gum was like 1 cent back then. Anyway. So Cheryl wants to leave. Ash is like, fine, I'll take you. So they get in the car and they can't get the car to start.
Right.
Obviously.
Yeah, and she's going on about how it doesn't want us to leave and stuff
It's
like
not
that.
going to let us leave.
And then the car fires on, and he just looks at her like,
Right.
"Oh yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Uh-huh.
not wanting us to leave."
So they drive for a little bit and Ash just stops. And I was like, what the hell? But then you notice because he gets out of the car
hmm
and he walks up to the bridge and the bridge is collapsed. Dun, dun, dun.
Da-da.
And he doesn't know how to get out of there. But
Right.
Cheryl's like, what the hell are you doing? So she gets out and she's like kind of wandering around because she kind of lost him. And then so she turns around, she's walking back to the car, and Ash like runs into her. That was creepy.
Yeah.
And she's like, it's not going to let us go.
Right, because oh man, the way they made the bridge look, it looks like a claw.
Oh, I didn't even catch that.
It's pretty cool. So the bridge is out. So we're in fucking trouble now because y'all didn't leave when the voices started coming out, and then you read from the book. And
Ugh, you
this is
guys
kind of a
all
theme
done
of the
fucked up.
series, honestly.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So it scares us with a wood chop.
Oh, yeah. And it's Scotty chopping some wood with an axe, which I want to chop some wood so bad.
Why?
I don't know. I never chopped firewood, and I just want to chop some wood with an axe. I just want to use an axe once in my life. I've used a chainsaw, but never an axe. I've even used a machete.
A machete.
A machete. We're going to
Okay.
live stream that. Lee chops wood.
Because everybody wants to see that.
Fuck yeah, they do. See me chopping
They
some wood.
better not. That's what you were waiting for.
Yes, it was. Okay. So, yeah, so Scotty's chopping some wood. Everybody's inside the cabin trying to keep fucking calm. Well, mostly Cheryl
Is
has
trying
been
to
the
keep
crazy
calm.
one. Everybody else is pretty chill.
Nothing's happened to them, so why does it matter?
I know, right?
So this is where Ash is listening to the recorder, and I don't know what they talk about
Oh, okay. So
on this recorder part.
what?
I don't know what they're talking about on the recorder.
Oh, so the professor's going on and he's talking about how, like, it kind of seems like he's had some shit happen to him. And he's sitting there talking about, like, how dismemberment is, like, the only thing that can stop them, which makes more sense later in the movie. But so, and the two girls, Linda and Shelley, are playing psychic guess a card. And is it Linda that's trying to guess cards? And she's definitely not getting them right, but Shelley
Right.
is telling her she is.
Yeah,
And,
you're doing great.
Yeah, Bruce is trying to listen, or Bruce. He'll always be Bruce. Ash is trying to listen to this recording, and she's like, I guessed the card right, Ashley. I guessed it right. And he's like, yeah, truly amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, he basically brushes her off to listen to the professor talk about, I'm pretty sure he's talking about dismembering the bodies and stuff like that, which is pretty fucked up. It's like, why didn't you guys listen to the rest of the tape? But so they're still pulling cards for Linda to guess. And that's when Shelley starts, or Cheryl, who's looking out the window, starts guessing them.
Correctly.
Yeah, correctly. She's like 2 of hearts, 3 of spades, and Jack of diamonds and stuff like that. And then she fucking turns around and she's possessed.
She's a zombie.
She's a deadite. These
know
are not
what?
zombies. They're demons.
Okay, you know what? They're all the living impaired.
They are demons.
They are the living impaired.
Kandarian demons.
The living impaired.
Anyway.
All of them. No matter what they are, they're the living impaired. Just like werewolves, vampires.
Demons aren't the living impaired, though. Oh my God, I almost like kicked my microphone across the room.
Good job.
Jesus Christ. So, yeah, but demons aren't the living impaired.
They're impaired by
demons.
demons.
They're a whole impaired by demons.
Never mind.
Impaired by demons. That sounds like some kind of shitty, like, Conjuring movie. I told you I don't like the spinoffs, but I could see that as a spinoff, you know.
Oh my
Impaired
God.
by demons. The Conjuring 82.
Annabelle's return back from space.
Annabelle's gangbang or something. Chucky was there. What do you want?
Anyway.
So yeah.
Cheryl.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Cheryl's possessed. She's like floating in the air. Her eyeballs are rolled back in her head.
Oh yeah, they're all white. And okay, this is fucked up. So in order to achieve the white eyeballs that the Kandarian demons have during the film, they had to use these like contact things. And I know you're thinking regular contacts like they have nowadays, but these things were like made of glass.
Yeah, because they didn't have those things like
No, they
contact
didn't have
lenses back
the
in that
flexible contacts and stuff
Right.
like that. But like, yeah, so these things were like in glass, and I think they could only wear them for like 5 minutes at a time, or they would like hurt their eyes.
That's
Like
terrible.
to the point of maybe blinding them.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she says, "One by one, we will take you," and then falls to the ground.
Mhm.
Whew, creepy. And one of the girls, I didn't catch which one, she said, "What's wrong with her?"
Yeah.
No. That's all I can say for this is no. I would be running away.
She
I
ain't
would
fucking-
find a way to be gone.
The bitch ain't right.
She ain't right. She done got fucked up. Or she'd be getting fucked up. I would be getting an axe and then chop her body up
Yeah.
and anyway. Whew. Scary.
Join us.
Oh God, Brittany's a deadite.
And now I will swallow your soul.
Like a blowjob?
Prepare to. Did you just ask for a blowjob?
Maybe.
Dude, really?
So they're kind of talking about her and like what's wrong with her.
Mm-hmm.
And in this time, Cheryl grabs a pencil and she stabs Linda.
Yeah, so she stabs Linda in the ankle, and I know you were like laughing at me, but that still looks good. I don't know, the effect looks great, and then you hear like the as she's like ripping through her ankle, and the way they achieved that was with an apple.
Oh, really?
Sam Raimi was stabbing an apple to get the sound. There's a lot of cool little stories about the making of, and obviously I can't go into all of them, even though you could tell I keep wanting to.
Right.
But that would make this episode approximately probably 4 hours long, and I don't think anybody wants to sit through that. So that she stabs Linda in the ankle, and then of course Linda goes down, and Shelly. God, why did they name one Shelly and one Cheryl? It's
I don't know.
It's affecting me. So Cheryl gets up, possessed demon Cheryl, and starts going after Ash.
And he slaps her.
Yeah.
And nothing happens.
Nope. And she like tosses him into a bookshelf.
And he's like trapped under this bookshelf.
Yeah, and she's coming for him. And that's when Scotty comes to the rescue.
Yeah, because nobody's doing anything.
I know, they're all
for, like,
standing around. And poor Ash, which, by the way, most of the people did their own stunts.
Oh, okay.
Like, stuff like that was literally him getting thrown into a bookshelf.
Oh, no.
Like, it was so bad that, like, there was, like, things you had to sign before you get it. Because, I mean, they couldn't afford stunt doubles.
Right.
And Sam Raimi thought, and so did Rob Tapper, they kind of liked the pain. Because, like, it brought more acting out of these people who were probably, you know, they're fresh out of acting school and stuff like that. So it brought more of a reaction from them. And Bruce Campbell got torn up on these movies.
I bet he did.
And everybody's always asking him to come back and play Ash. But I'm like, just let the man rest.
I'm sure
He's
he has
given
a
us
stunt.
Ash for so long.
I'm sure he's a stunt double
Well,
now.
by now I would hope so. But
So one of the girls yells at Cheryl. She's like, "Stop that, Cheryl!" Like, oh, okay.
Quit it.
Yeah,
Quit it.
Stop.
So Scotty like beats her back and kicks her into the cellar. And
He's hitting her with the axe.
the butt.
Butt of the axe.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I understand that she's your friend, but I'd be axing a bitch.
No, I don't know, man. I don't know if I want to axe him just yet. So
I guess, yeah.
So he kicks her into the cellar, and luckily he chains it down and locks it.
With some resistance.
Right, because it's still like shaking. Like she's still pushing on the
fighting.
cellar door while he's sitting on it. And that's where we cut away from that.
Right. So Linda goes to bed because, you know, she's tired. She's had a hard night. She got stabbed in the foot.
In the fucking ankle.
Yeah.
Oh, the ankle with a pencil. Can you imagine that?
Yeah.
God.
So Shelly, Scott, and Ash,
Yeah.
they're in the living room sitting around the fire.
Yeah, they're kind of discussing how the hell they're going to get out of there.
They're like, oh, we probably should leave.
Yeah.
And Ash is like, we'll leave in the morning.
Yeah.
Because he knows that the bridge is broken.
Right. And Shelly's like, I don't know if I could fucking do this, because she's like, what's wrong with her damn eyes?
Yeah, she's like, she keeps making those noises.
Her eyes. My
But
God,
why
her
are they
eyes.
sitting in that room with her? Like, that
I don't
just
know,
freaked
right?
me out.
There's more cabin, you guys. Go to the next room.
Right?
But so far, like, were you scared yet?
Oh, I've been scared like 6 times now.
Okay, good.
Yeah. I'm leaving. I'm out. Bye.
I'm not fucking around here.
No, I'm not. So there's something outside.
There's just, like we said, they're sitting around trying to figure out what the fuck to do. And Shelly is kind of like, there's something out there and stuff, because she's looking out the window. And so Shelly goes off to the other room after that. And that's when the force or the evil comes through the window.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
And it gets Shelly. And I love, like I said, I've been sucking this movie's dick tonight, but but the way they did the camera move here, I mean, they basically just taped the camera to the end of a 2x4, and they put like a bar sticking out further than the lens of the camera that would bash that window in
Oh.
as they basically ran into it, because that was like a real window. And so
That's cool.
so it's amazing the things they came up with to get around their budget constraints.
So Ash kind of like looks out. Was it Ash or Scott that looked out the window?
I think it was Scott, because
don't know.
okay, so they hear a scream.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, and Ash, I believe, is sitting on the couch, and Scott gets up to investigate.
And I don't know. I have the window broke, and you see nothing but fog. There's so much fog in this movie.
Oh, there's a ton of fog.
They must have had like a hella good fog machine or something,
Oh, yeah.
and they were
and
proud
the blood,
of it.
man. The blood and the fog.
Oh, the blood. Yeah.
Oh, the blood doesn't stop in this movie, which is great. And I believe somebody, one of the producers or somebody told them, just keep the blood rolling and you'll have something here. Like, just keep that blood coming.
That's crazy.
And they went with it, because later we get like torrents of blood. But
yeah.
yeah, like, so he's goes into the other room because he hears Shelly scream. And he's like, what the fuck and stuff. And he's looking for Shelly. Scott is. Scotty.
Mm-hmm.
And then he opens the door to the restroom.
And Shelly like grabs his face.
Yeah, because he like, well, what's good is you get a little faked out, because I know I saw you were like expecting, because he reaches out, and by the way, that's not his hand, that's Sam Raimi's. He reaches
So
out
weird.
to pull back the curtain.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so he reaches out there and pulls it back, but there's nothing in there. But then he turns around and there's Shelly.
Oh, yeah. And she scratches his face, and there's just blood pouring from his face.
Yeah, which you were like, that does not look good.
No.
And me over there, I'm like, it's not supposed to. Stop making fun of my movie.
Not making fun of it.
Man,
It's just
man, she's making fun of my movie, man.
I will call your mom right now. She will be guest star on this podcast and tell you to shut the fuck up with that voice. And you know it.
Oh, yeah. Don't call my mom, please.
Okay. You just don't want to get beat later
Oh, no.
with a chancla. Or how do you say that?
What?
A chancla. The flip flop?
What the?
Because your mom's a Mexican mom. What do they call those?
A shankla?
A chancla? A flip flop?
A kalima?
No.
Kalima. Kalima.
Flip flop. A
Oh,
flip flop.
I don't know.
A chancla? I don't remember what they call them.
Fuck.
I'm not
So-
Hispanic. I
So
don't.
back to the Evil Dead.
So Shelly attacks Scott, and she's like on him, and he's
Oh,
like
yeah.
walking. She's like got her legs wrapped around him and stuff.
Yeah.
And they make their way to the living room, and he throws her into the fire.
Yeah, because Ash is like, he goes to help, but then like she throws him into the fucking wall again.
Yeah, it was
Like I said, Ash isn't the character we know and love yet,
right.
so he's kind of a weenie here at the beginning.
Right, because he was kind of like, ooh, okay.
Yeah.
But she says, thank you.
Oh yeah, because he pulls her from the fire.
Yeah, she was like, that was burning my pretty flesh. You have pretty skin.
You were like, ew.
Just
I
creeped
mean,
me
the
out.
gore is it's pretty cool.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's a mask and some ass ton of prosthetics, but it's cool. I don't
It
know.
was cool.
There's something about the low budget makeup in this movie that's still cool. It's not.
Oh, it was really great.
Yeah, like so it's still effective.
Mm-hmm, definitely. So she attacks Scott again. Cheryl's in the cellar freaking out.
Yeah, she's like cheering it on.
Oh, this is the part where Shelly throws Ash across the room again.
Oh yeah, because he goes to help, but
Yeah. And then Shelly tries to burn Scotty in the fire.
yeah, and she ends up grabbing that dagger and
Yes.
raises it to try to stab Scott, but Scott reaches behind him and pulls secret knife out. No, it's like a
Oh.
hunting knife or something he has on his belt. He pulls that out and he like slices her hand, which kind of makes it useless. And this is where she starts chewing her own hand off.
Crazy. Ugh.
Ugh. And again, the sound effects. Damn.
Yeah. Ugh. The chewing.
So she chews her hand off and then she picks up the dagger with her hand on it and goes to stab him again.
But he deflects her and stabs her in the back.
Yeah.
And she starts screaming. And what the fuck splooges out of her arm? There's like this white blah.
It's supposed to be like pus and gore and shit like that. Well, what that is 2% milk. That's what they used on this movie for that kind of stuff.
I don't know why they wouldn't just use blood, but
I don't know. It was gross.
It was
had that
gross.
effect on you. It grossed
it
you
was
out.
very gross.
If they just used blood, I mean, it's just more blood. But yeah, so, ugh. But yeah, that dagger in her back and stuff, and it starts bleeding out of its mouth. The dagger.
Yeah.
Is this where? So we were high watching this because we
first
watch
time.
these movies. We try to watch these movies 2 or 3 times, and we were high the first time we were watching it. And you were like, "Look at the tiny skull," because I think
Okay, what I saw, because I wasn't really paying attention. Stop. What I saw was the scene where her head goes in the fire,
yeah,
and then the next thing I saw was that dagger skull, and I thought it was her head
like burning in the
Like,
fire. Or something.
burning, and I
Look at the
thought they
little
like
skull.
shrunk down her skull, and I was like, "Oh, look, it's a tiny skull."
We were so high.
It was so cute. I wanted it.
Oh man.
I was like, "Oh, why did they do that?" First of all, I'm like weirded out, and then I'm like, "Oh, it's just a tiny skull. It's so cute." Oh, I'm so weird.
Oh man.
Anyway, so Shelly comes back to life.
Ash is standing there with the axe,
Mm-hmm.
and Scotty's telling him, "Hit her,
Hit her, yeah.
hit her." And so finally, Scott grabs the axe from Ash and just starts chopping up Shelly.
Her legs, her arms, her head.
which is cool because I like the view from how the camera is, like where the blood's rolling down the camera lens.
Oh yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that was a pretty cool move.
And it shows the body all chopped up on the floor and still twitching.
Yeah, and they achieved that by having people underneath the floorboards.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Just like moving it.
yeah, this is pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Again, like the low budget effects of this movie are so good.
Yeah.
I don't know, but so
Ash says, "What are we going to do?" And Scott says, "We're going to bury her. She's dead."
he's like,
But she's our
yeah,
friend.
we can't bury Shell. She's a friend of ours.
Okay. So what do? They put her in a sheet because she's all in pieces.
Oh yeah,
And they drag her outside
bam.
to bury
Problem
her.
solved, man. Problem solved.
So they dug a grave for her and
Yeah.
even put a cross up. How sweet.
Well, she's a friend of theirs.
She's our friend.
So, then we get this little aside with Ash and
Scott.
Scotty, and Scott's like, "I'm getting the hell out of here. There's got to be a trail or something somewhere." And Ash is like, What about Linda? She can't make it with her ankle like that." And Scott's like, "I don't care. She's your girlfriend. You figure it out." And stuff.
Yeah.
Basically saying, he's gonna leave with her without him. So Scotty sets off, and Ash is now alone for now.
So he goes back in the house, and Cheryl says, "Soon you will all be like me, and we will
yeah, you'll
lock
be the
you
one.
up in the
Yeah.
cellar."
And Cheryl kind of taunts him throughout this whole thing.
Oh, she's got the creepiest laugh.
Yeah. Ugh.
Yeah.
And so Ash decides to go check on Linda, see how she's doing. And so he goes and looks at her wound. And when he lifts up the blanket to look at her ankle, that's when that it like branches off like from the little hole, like
Mhm.
these black vines branch off of it.
into
Like,
her leg and foot.
yeah,
and stuff.
it's like a spider web. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I gotta admit,
And
it's like a stop motion little effect they used.
It was pretty great. And she pops up, and she's a demon.
Kandarian demon.
And she's just creepy laughing.
Right.
And
Ugh.
Ash goes to, like, go outside or something, and Scott shows up.
Yeah, well, he runs away from Cheryl. He goes to run away from Linda and opens the door, and there's Scott. Like, Scott just, like, comes out of nowhere, and he's all fucked up.
Yeah,
Like-
he got beat up.
Yeah, so he's like, he takes Scott over to the couch and sets him down. And
And then fucking Linda's sitting on the floor, crisscross
Ah.
applesauce, just laughing.
did that not creep you out?
Oh, it was creepy as hell.
Okay. I was like,
Oh, yeah.
because out of all the things in this movie that still get me, it's that fucking scene where she's sitting there like, we're gonna get you.
It's pretty fucking creepy.
Yeah. and
Because she's got, like, the red cheeks and the pale face, kind of
Yeah.
like a clown, like
yeah,
a doll.
It's really
Sorry,
fucking
like a
creepy.
doll.
I think Linda's the creepiest Deadite in this whole entire
Oh,
movie.
yeah.
She's scary as fuck. But yeah, so like this is kind of what the evil and stuff from the book does. It kind of fucks with you
Yeah.
and stuff like that, and really fucks with your mind and shit before it kind of figures out a way to take you over.
Right. So Scott's like, it's not going to let us leave. We're all going to die. And Ash is not taking that. He does not want to accept that they're all going to die.
Yeah, Ash goes through a little like denial thing.
Yeah. And he's like trying to get Scott to say, I guess, if he found a way out. And he starts like slapping him. I'm like, you're beating up your already fucked up friend? Like, what the hell?
Yeah.
And
He's like, tell me a way out.
Cheryl starts mocking from the cellar, and she's saying, the trees are alive, and creepy laughing.
Yeah.
And Ash walks up to Linda, because she's still laughing and saying, what did she say?
Oh, that's where she's saying, we're going to get you. And stuff
Yeah.
like that. She starts
gonna
singing her
get
little
you.
weird ass fucking song, and
Yeah.
Ash gets all pissed off and backhands her a couple of times.
Yeah, telling her to shut up.
Yeah, because Ash is getting fucking fed up by this point. And this is where we start seeing Ash get a little bit more.
Oh, because Cheryl from the cellar says, kill her if you can, lover boy.
Yeah.
And he grabs the gun and he's pointing at Linda, but
Oh,
he can't
yeah.
shoot her.
Yeah, because she turns back into normal Linda.
Yes. And she's asking for help.
Yeah. And he's, obviously like, oh God, and stuff like that. And they start hugging.
Nope. Mount. And Cheryl then, okay, so the, cellar door shuts all the way.
Yeah.
And, because this whole time when you're hearing Cheryl, the cellar door's kind of lifted up. Because
Yeah.
there's only a chain holding it.
Right.
But now it's shut, and Cheryl's asking to be let out. She says, I'm all right.
Yeah. It's all right now.
And she's saying, unlock this chain, please. Or not, please, just unlock the chain. And I wrote, don't do it all in caps. Because, no,
It's because don't do it.
I ain't trusting no one.
Yeah. So he goes over and kind of like lifts the lid a little to peek. And that's when her fucking hand busts through the floorboard
Yes.
and like grabs him by the neck and shit.
And he starts to yell, you bastards, why are you torturing me like this?
Yeah.
And Linda's over there chanting, we're gonna get you.
Yeah. And he grabs Linda and fucking just drags her ass outside.
Outside. Doesn't do anything, just leaves her out there.
Yeah, shuts the door. And
Then he gets a drink for Scott. What kind of fucking drink was that?
I think it was some water. It looked like
In
a
a
candle.
yellow cup?
But
It looked like what?
It looked like one of those little candle, like a votive candle.
I know, and it was yellow.
Yeah, but I'm assuming it's just some water. He
It
brings
probably
Scott
was.
some water, try to help him because again he's going through this little denial period here
Yeah, and
where he
he's
doesn't want to face what the fuck's going on.
yeah, and he's saying we can get out of here after the sun comes up, and I'm like, what?
Yeah,
just leave. And then Ash realizes that Scott's dead.
yeah, because he drops the water and shit, and Scott's gone.
Yeah, and then here comes Linda,
Oh God, yeah, with the dagger.
and she stabs him and takes the dagger out and starts licking it.
Ew, yeah.
It was. eh. Meh.
Ew.
So they're kind of like fighting back and forth,
Yeah.
and and they're kind of by the cellar now, and Cheryl grabs Ash's foot,
Oh God, yeah.
and he's kind of struggling, and he pushes Linda in a way that she falls on the sword,
Yeah, the dagger thing.
and then more fucking white shit, white splooge coming out of her face.
I'm guessing. Okay, it's been a while since I've read 3 books on the making of this movie
Oh wow.
because I was like super obsessed. Everybody had their movie they were super obsessed with. This was mine. But like, so it's been a while since I've read it, so I can't say off the top of my head why they chose the milk, but I'm assuming, like I said, it was pus and maybe to cut down a little bit on the blood,
Maybe.
because I mean, they still got to get this released into theaters.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah. Because that's the ultimate goal. But, so anyway, yeah, 1% milk spurts out of Linda. And so Ash assumes she's fucking dead.
Right. So he drags her to the shed. I was like, what? And chains her to the table.
Yeah. And this is what I was talking about. There's these little quick cuts that Sam Raimi uses in pretty much all of his movies. All of his movies have a little quick cut scenes. And like I said, in Spider-Man, they're there. And but here, he's strapping her to the table, and there's a cut to him turning on the light and stuff like that. And this is where we get the first introduction of the chainsaw,
Yeah.
which in the sequels is a very big thing.
But he's trying to chainsaw her. Well, he's not trying to.
Well,
He doesn't touch her with the chainsaw,
yeah, because he has second thoughts.
but he sees her necklace.
Yeah, and that's what kind of like turns him off of it because he's not quite ready to commit here
Right.
on dismembering his girlfriend.
And I wrote,
Because-
pussy.
Because I mean, if you remember the recording on the tape, it says something about dismembering them is the only way to truly make sure they're dead.
Right.
So that's what he's doing here. But then he has second thoughts and ends up taking her out to bury her.
Yep. He decides that's the only thing he can do.
Right.
So he takes her out. Oh, this must have been a quick clip because I wrote Cheryl trying to break the chains. Oh, I guess when he was walking through the living room with
Yeah.
her, Cheryl's trying to break the chains. But anyway, he digs the hole and buries her, and he's looking real tired at this point.
Well, all his friends are dead.
That's true.
And the ones that are alive are demons. And so,
So, he gets done burying her, and he sees her necklace kind of in the dirt. So he grabs it, and she attacks him.
she reaches up after he's buried her and grabs him and starts clawing at his fucking calf muscle. Which,
Oh my god, that must have hurt
Ow.
so fucking bad. She's clawing so deep.
God damn. He
And-
actually, Bruce Campbell actually fucked up his ankle,
Oh, I bet.
during filming of this. He was, a lot of him looking tired was probably true.
Probably.
Because honestly, even the shooting on this movie was so horrendous. The fake blood they used was so much, and it was made out of Cairo syrup. And this is December or something when they're shooting this. So the cold is freezing this Cairo syrup, and their equipment would freeze, and they'd have to thaw it out. And Bruce Campbell even had a shirt, and it was so soaked in syrup that it like turned into candy.
Oh,
So he
dang.
goes to put on this fucking shirt, and the sleeve just snaps right off. So yeah, and he had sprained his ankle at some point, and Raimi, to get the pain into his performance, started hitting his bruise with a stick before takes. So a lot of the
What an
pain and
ass-
stuff, yeah, a lot of the pain and stuff you see on Bruce Campbell in this movie is probably true.
Oh my gosh. Well, Ash, not Bruce, gets a log and he starts beating her with it.
Yeah,
This is the fakest log I've ever seen in my
yeah,
life.
it looks like a
Anyway,
giant railroad tie, but
It did. But he
Ash is
picked
so
it up
fucking
so
badass.
easy.
He can lift it.
Sure. So he ends up cutting her head off and still being attacked. Not as aggressively, but still. So he goes back in the house and the door to the cellar is open.
Which, by the way, that the part where Linda's severed or
Oh yeah.
head is like sitting in the dirt laughing while her fucking body is like spraying blood into Ash's mouth and stuff.
Ugh.
Blood in the mouth is an ongoing thing in Sam Raimi's movies too.
Oh, delicious.
So yeah, Bruce enters back into the cabin. Bruce. I
Ash
got
is
Bruce
not
on the brain.
Bruce.
Got Bruce on the brain.
Yes. So Ash goes back in the house and the cellar door's open.
Right.
So he grabs his gun and then he sees Cheryl. She grabs his gun and then he shoots her.
Yeah, he shoots her, but that's his one shot.
Right.
So he's kind of in trouble now.
And he's trying to get. What door is this? Because he's trying to get the door to the shut.
Oh, this is like the front door to the cabin.
Oh, okay. And
Yeah, he gets it shut.
and he runs to the cellar to
Yeah.
get more shells.
Right. Well, he has to run to the back door and lock it first.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
And yeah, so
He locks the back door, and then he runs down to the cellar and gets more shells. And this is where he sees this pipe leaking,
oh yeah,
but it's
this time.
leaking blood.
Yeah, because before it was water.
Right.
But this time this is fucking blood. And
The pipe like
oh yeah.
bursts open, and there's just blood everywhere.
Right. And this is so much fucking blood.
Oh, so much blood.
Like, I love it. But yeah, there's just like torrents of blood in here, and he's like wandering through this fucking cellar, blood all over him and stuff. He can't see very well. And then like this record player starts up.
Oh, yes.
And it's playing the Charleston.
Is that what that was?
Yeah, that's the name of the song.
And then this video starts from a projector.
Yeah, and it's kind of blinding him with the light.
Yeah. And there's so much blood that this blood drips on the lens,
Yeah.
and it's making the projection all red. Is actually really cool.
Yeah.
That was my favorite
There's
effect.
so many cool ass shots in this movie.
Oh yeah.
And you don't, God, Sam Raimi's so good. But you don't get that in a lot of the movies like this, the low budget films that released during this time. Unless,
Mhm.
I mean, you know, you go look for a Larry Cohen and then you get stuff like that. But like, you just didn't get it from people who weren't already established in filmmaking.
Right.
So it's pretty cool.
It was pretty great. So, in his head, I don't know. This was a little confusing because he hears, "We're going to get you." And he says, "Shut up, Linda." And then he's kind of replaying these things in his head.
Yeah, he's kind of like, it's flashing back in his head, and he's starting to come into his own now, where he's less of a weenie here.
Right.
This is kind of him developing.
He's like, this shit's happening.
Yeah, I got to take care of this shit. So that's when he gets the shells.
And he goes back upstairs, and the clock kind of distracts him.
Uh-huh.
And then he hears a noise, and in the background, instead of like music playing, you hear a heartbeat,
Ooh.
which is really creepy.
Yeah.
One of my favorite stories growing up was The Telltale Heart.
Ooh.
So it always creeps me out when I hear the heartbeat like that.
Oh, yeah. I love Edgar
Anyway.
Allan Poe.
So he opens the door to the outside, and something kind of startles him. And then the shutters start to open and close and
Yeah.
open and close.
Like, it's almost as if the cabin's kind of alive.
Yeah. And he turns around and looks in the mirror. What possesses him to put his hand through the mirror?
The mirror looks a little weird.
Oh, okay. I
And
was
so he's like, he reaches out to touch it, and that's when his hand goes into it.
oh, and then he's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, which is another cool effect that they achieved by having, like, a pool of water.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's just it's a camera technique and stuff like
Right. So he hears something and he turns around and he shoots through the window
that.
just at nothing.
right.
Just shoots. And he's waiting and he's just waiting to see what happens.
Yeah, he loads up the shotgun with another shell. and
Oh,
he
yeah.
he backs himself up against the front door of the cabin.
Oh, yeah. And he
And-
pulls out the necklace
Right.
and he's kind of looking at it.
And again, there's a really good use of silence in this part
Yes.
because all of a sudden Cheryl busts through the door.
Oh,
Her
yeah, and
hands
all
bust
you
through.
see is your hands and
Yeah.
grabbing him.
Mm-hmm.
Then he shoots her and like through the door.
Right.
And he's moving some furniture in front of the door, and
Yeah.
then Scott pops up.
Which is cool, man. Scott does the whole like Michael Myers pop up thing, but the way that they light him and stuff when he raises up real quick is just really cool and really fucking freaky.
Oh, yeah.
I love it.
Oh, definitely. So, nothing can hold Cheryl back now. She busts through the door.
Right.
Scott's attacking Ash.
Yeah.
Ash does the coolest thing, and I've always wanted to do this, which is kind of creepy to say, but he takes his thumbs and
Oh,
puts them
yeah.
in Scott's eye sockets and fucking like
Oh, so
gouges his
gouges-
eyes out with his thumbs.
Which again looks so good for
It looks
being
so
low budget. Because like you hear the noise and you
Ugh,
see
it was
the
awesome.
blood's gushing out around his thumbs.
Oh, it was so great.
Ugh. That's an anti-rape move, isn't it?
I think so, actually.
And
Yeah.
You're supposed to gouge their eyeballs out. Anyway,
Hell yeah. Can I do that? You want to
I-
practice?
no,
Damn
no,
it.
I don't. No, I don't.
You
You're not luring me into this again.
You never let me have any fun.
Not when it comes to expense of my eyesight.
You don't need to see.
Yeah.
Anyway. So, I guess Scott has like a stick in them.
Yeah.
Not up his ass. It's like in his body.
I used to joke because I was like, it looks like Ash pulls his penis off.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because
Yeah.
Ash just like pulls it out.
But I'm assuming it's a stick that he had already stabbed into him from being outside.
Right? And blood just starts to pour out.
Yeah.
Like it is like rushing and gushing. It's crazy. And Scott falls to the ground and he starts like smoking. Did he fall in the fire?
Well, okay, what happened was the book fell close to the fire.
Oh,
And so, like, the heat is kind of singeing the book a little. Not too much, but the heat is affecting it. So that's when Ash noticed, because somehow Ash falls to the floor, and Scott has him by the leg. And here comes Linda with a fucking fireplace poker. Or not Linda.
Cheryl.
Cheryl with a fireplace poker.
Hmm.
And he sees them both smoking, and then he sees the book close to the fire, and that's when it dawns on him, I need to burn
Okay.
the book.
Oh.
So he takes Linda's necklace,
And he's trying to like,
lasso
Hook-
it.
yeah, the book with the necklace. I'm like, that ain't gonna work. But
Oh God! And
he
then
does-
Cheryl starts hitting him in the back with this fucking hot poker. And
yes.
damn,
He finally gets the book close to him and he throws it in the fire.
right.
And he almost gets stabbed because Cheryl has that poker, and as soon as he throws that book in the fire,
Oh yeah,
she drops the poker right next to his head.
yeah. It like
That was
sticks into the
creepy.
ground.
Oh yeah, that was very creepy.
Yeah.
And they start to fall apart.
Yeah, it's weird. It's cool still, but it's a little weird because they start kind of melting a little.
Yeah,
and
it's
then
like
all
they're
of a
melting
sudden,
and
like
falling apart.
these demon hands starts bursting out of them, which is again, it's another really cool ass effect that Sam Raimi pulls
Oh,
off
yeah.
here, where it looks like these big old demon claw hands are ripping out of Scott and or Cheryl's body,
Yeah.
and it's just a really neat effect.
The only thing I didn't like about this was the oozing cream corn.
I'm pretty sure that's either cream corn or like a
Oatmeal?
like oatmeal. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it was probably oatmeal, but my first thought was cream corn because I like oatmeal. I don't like cream corn.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It's pretty gross. So yeah, they're oozing, and then there's this cool ass stop motion kind of claymation looking thing where their skin is like oozing off and melting and like fizzing and stuff like that. They die in a super gory ass way.
Yeah. And then like somehow Scott falls, and when his head hits the ground, it like bursts open like a pumpkin.
Right.
Like
it's
if you
pretty
smashed
cool.
a pumpkin.
Because it also looks like the skull is like melting down and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
And there's roaches crawling out of their bodies.
Ugh. Yeah,
Ugh.
they die in a pretty hideous fucking way. But it's cool. And
Yeah.
and this whole time it's silent.
Yes.
What's happening? Again, the use of silence is eerie.
It's crazy. And then all of a sudden you hear "Join us."
Yeah, it's
I don't
kind
know
of
who
fading
says it.
away. Join us is fading away, and so Ash thinks that he's saved the day. He's killed him.
Right.
He should be okay because then the clock starts ticking again.
And you can see
Daylight.
a little bit of daylight.
Yeah, it's morning now. So
And-
he goes to he walks out of the cabin and thinking, well, I'm good. He's kind of limping, looking like shit, but he's happy because it's over.
Right.
Well, then we cut to a leaf, and then and then the camera raises up, and it's the evil again, and it's flying towards or like through the forest, and then into the cabin, through the doors and stuff, out the front door, and then just slams into Ash. And that's the end. And they achieved that by it's basically a dude on a bicycle with the camera.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, and oh man, yeah. So and then that's the end, and it cuts to credits. And man, so all right. So I mean that's the Evil Dead. Like, what did you think after when the credits hit? What did you think about this movie?
I really liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, I was happy to see some zombies or demons or whatever it was.
Something. Yeah.
Right. Because I like that stuff. I like the living impaired.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know a lot of people when they first view this movie now, they're like, well, it's not, why does everybody talk about this? Like, it's so epic and stuff like that. It's not the movie itself that's epic. I mean, the movie itself is great. It's a great low-budget horror movie. It's how low-budget horror movies can be good with a constrained budget, like bare bones. I think this whole thing cost $300,000 to make, which sounds like a lot, but it's really not. That's a low budget.
Right.
Like, it's not as low budget as your Blair Witch projects that come later on,
Ugh.
but found footage is this whole different thing that we'll get to later on in our show. But but this movie, I think it's epic because the simpleness of it, like the simplistic nature of it, that three dudes from Michigan got together with a lot of hard work and a lot of pain.
Right.
And a lot of some luck too. They had a lot of good luck. They pulled it off, because Sam Raimi has been quoted as saying, I figured I'd keep trying and trying until they drug me back to my father's store to work.
Right.
Because that's what he wanted to do. He wanted to be a filmmaker. Bruce was always the actor of the bunch, and he's always the one the girls like to look at. And so,
Why not?
and so, like, it's just neat. It's a testament to how if you set your mind to something, work hard, you can get there. It's every amateur filmmaker's dream for this to happen to them. And I think that's what makes this movie so epic. What also makes it epic is because it birthed this insane cult following. I mean, The Evil Dead dropped. People loved it. It was a massive success. Like, not overnight. It was an overnight success, but not by the definition of the word. It happened slowly. Like I said, Stephen King wrote a good review of it, and that's really what got it started looking at. And so, like I said, it's epic in the way it was made and the story behind it. And like I said, I can't sit here and go into every detail of the making of The Evil Dead because we'll be here for fucking months. But, if you really want, I would say the most definitive things you could go and get are Bruce Campbell's book, If Chins Could Kill, Confessions of a B-Movie Star. Get that book. That's amazing. It outlines a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff. A lot of what Bruce and Sam were going through. I mean, did you Bruce Campbell put up his family's property for collateral just so Sam Raimi could finish this film.
Wow.
So, and this, obviously Sam and Bruce have been friends since like high school. So, So, and the other book I would say, it's by Bill Warren. And it's called The Evil Dead Companion. That's another one that's really good. It even has, at the end of the book, it has the screenplays for all 3 Evil Dead movies. So go find those. You'll learn a lot about the making of this film because, like I said, it's low budget brilliance. Is all I can do to explain this movie.
Well, so when we first watched it, sorry to interrupt.
No, it's okay.
But I had to stop you somewhere.
Yeah, I'll end up talking about this for years.
Well, when it was first over, I was kind of like, okay, yeah. I mean, what's so great about this? But then explaining it to people, I'm like, you have to watch it. It's like hard to explain what's going on. Exactly. You have to see it.
Well,
and I was like, there it is. That's why I like it, because I'm not going to suggest something to somebody if I don't like it.
Right. It's its own thing. The Evil Dead is its own thing. Obviously, words that come to define the series aren't really introduced until like the sequels, like the word Deadite, and the Necronomicon, and like stuff like that. The definitions of it don't come till later. And Ash himself isn't the icon we know him today in this first movie, which I think makes it even a little bit more special because you can see the inklings of it.
Right.
But it's not fully developed yet. But yeah, so, and that's the thing. That's the one thing that always comes up when people say, I've never seen the movie. What is it? How is it? And stuff. You got to see it.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely. It's absolutely on my list of must-see movies if you want to call yourself a horror fan.
Oh, definitely.
If you haven't seen The Evil Dead, I don't mean to sound like a black metal person here, but yeah, you're not a horror fan if you haven't seen The Evil Dead. I don't care if you don't like it. Like, you're still not a horror fan.
Right. They played it at a corn maze that I went to, and you could have bought tickets to it, and they actually, squirted blood on you and stuff. And I'm really sad that I didn't go see it.
Oh, yeah. If you can ever get the chance to watch this movie, probably, I'm sure at the corn maze it wasn't a 35 millimeter print, but
no.
If you ever get the chance to watch this in 35 millimeter, do it. Because it's just that classic graininess of it.
Oh, right.
Brings it to you. And it's just so great. And this, The Evil Dead went on to influence a bunch of people and went on to influence different ways of filming things. Like, this movie did revolutionize some stuff. And, the funny story about that Hills Have Eyes poster earlier on in the movie. Obviously, that's a Wes Craven movie. And so in A Nightmare on Elm Street, he put a scene from The Evil Dead. It's on the TV that Johnny Depp is watching.
Oh, yeah.
And he put a scene from The Evil Dead on there. Well, then Sam Raimi in The Evil Dead 2 puts Freddy Krueger's glove in the cabin. And, they just had a little back and forth and stuff.
That's cool.
It's stuff you don't see much anymore in movies. I think everybody's too competitive.
Probably.
But anyway, yeah, that's 1981's Evil Dead. That's up there. One of my favorite horror movies.
Definitely.
I could talk about it for years. I could do my own podcast about The Evil Dead, but I'm not going to. I'm gonna save you the pain.
Thank you. Thank you.
But so next week we got a good one.
I don't even know what it is.
Oh no, I haven't told you yet. We're venturing into Italian horror with Dario Argento's Suspiria. That's the first in There's a fly on my fucking microphone and it's creeping me the fuck out.
Eat it.
So anyway, it's the first in Dario Argento's goddamn fly. Dario Argento's Three Mothers trilogy. And we'll talk about that. But yeah, Suspiria. I'm excited. I've only seen this movie about once or twice.
Is it like a spaghetti western? But a spaghetti horror instead? Can I call it that?
Yes, the proper term is giallo, something. I never say things right. I'm from Oklahoma, people. But
Say iron.
Leave me alone.
Thanks, Laura. Shout out.
But yeah. So, goddamn you.
Well, you know what I have to say?
What's that?
Stay horrific.
And I'm gonna say stay spooky. And until next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Sure.
Hey, thanks for listening this week. That was another great episode. Be sure to join us next week, and you can subscribe to wherever you find fine podcasts. Be sure to stop by social media at Twitter at InHorrorFile, and also on our Facebook page.
You can also find me on Twitter at BEvans1205. You can find Lee on Twitter at LEvans6081. And find us on Instagram.
And be sure to stop by the YouTube channel as well. We are now on YouTube. Woo!
Woo!
See you next week.
Bye.